ya, hey ya ya, hey ya ho. Hey ya ya, hey ya la, hey ya ya. Que nanas capten que se manito, oche amane pe matsoen. Hey ya, hey ya ho. Que nanas comte nanochi
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hailey Rose Podcast on 7 Stars Media. Woo! I've had a crazy week. Oh my gosh, we have Krista here. I love Krista. I wish I had met her already, but I haven't. Krista, if you could share your page there so people could connect to that and support that you are walking literally all across Canada, that would be amazing. So this past week has been so crazy and so different. Like the adrenaline in me is immense. As you guys probably heard in North Battleford, the lighthouse was so close to shutting down, and so I partnered up with 2 buddies of mine, and they weren't my buddies at first, but now they are. And we made some care packages for those people that live at the lighthouse, and it was such a great feeling to give back and support them and be there for them, because I can't imagine losing my home. And I don't know what that would do to the community, losing the lighthouse. I literally can't imagine, even if I lost my home, I can't imagine what that would be like. But I actually just came out of a conference, the Canada We Want conference, and I was talking about the youth policy. And it was an amazing conference. It was different because it was virtual. So it was, not as good as it always is, because I'm so used to, connecting and seeing them and traveling. And actually, I would have been in Toronto this past week. And so, of course, it kind of made me sad. I was like, man, seeing them online like that, it was so weird. But that connection, it was still there. And this past week, it's been good. I started my new class. I'm in biology now. Not really a scientist myself, but hey, that's okay. We're learning here. You're simply the best, Hailey. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you guys, tell me about your day. Tell me how your week has been going. Lately, I've been letting all that negativity go, and I can see how much it's impacted me and made me feel so much better about myself. Just realizing you can't change it, Hailey. You can't change the past. It's a new day. It's a fresh start. Wake up and be happy. Smile and spread that love, spread that joy. And so it's been different, and having that mentality, it's already just a game changer. Just living in. We got Raymond here. Yeah, Raymond's in the house. It's been busy, but good. It has been. And crazy, exactly. And we're living in a time now where we don't really know what's gonna happen next, and it's kind of unpredictable. But personally, myself, it has been crazy too, and I'm loving it. New opportunities are always coming my way, and I'm always like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Just so I'm gonna take a drink. Just so. Okay. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about youth advocacy, and I can already tell I'm getting so much more comfortable with podcasting. I can't thank Raymond enough and his team, the 7 Stars Media family. We're amazing, and it just feels awesome being able to share your message, share your story with other people out there. Whatever you're thinking about that day, whatever you've been thinking about all week, just letting it go. Sometimes I find myself not being able to sleep. I'm laying in bed. I'll turn off my phone, turn off the TV, and I'll still be laying there thinking about things. My mind is just going crazy, and I'll just lay there for an hour, 2 hours, just thinking about things. And I realize that podcasting and talking to other people more often, it helps me fall asleep quicker and stuff. So I just love podcasting, the adrenaline. I was just looking forward to this all day, literally all day. And Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you guys about youth advocacy. For the past 3 years here, I'm turning 18, so it has been 3 years. I've been advocating for things like mental health, the justice system, the education system, and lately the youth policy, because the youth policy talks about like employment, it talks about innovation, it talks about mental health, and just really important things all blocked in one. And that's what the government sees. That's what the government develops and puts out there for the next generations to make that change. And so it's so cool to be a part of that. And a lot of people ask, like, where did it start, Hailey? Like, where did you start? Like, how do you do that? Because I came from a place, I had no experience. I didn't know what I was doing, right? I was like, I'm going to try something new. And once I had that opportunity to go on a trip to Ottawa, it was my first conference ever, 15 years old. And I applied. I didn't have no experience. I didn't know anything about the social issues. I didn't know what was going on in the world. I didn't know things like, clean water and people like not like having houses. I didn't know about what was going on in the justice system and how many injustices that we were having. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can't remember where I got them, but I love them. But I started when I was 15, and it was really honestly a game changer. I went on that trip, and it was under the AFN, the Assembly of First Nations, and I was like, this is huge. Like, I just started, like, I don't know where to start, right? And I just applied. That's all I did. I applied. I said who I was. I said, this is me. I was Hailey Stone at the time, and I just was honest. And I ended up getting accepted. And it was my first time being on a plane all by myself. It was different. And honestly, I was kind of skeptical about it. I was like, I've never been this far away from my family before. Like, and I could tell, like, my mom, she was like, are you gonna be okay? Like, are you gonna be like, like, are you gonna get lonely? And I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, I think it'll be awesome, like an awesome experience. Like, oh, being away from your family, Hailey. So it was honestly different. And when I got to Ottawa, I remember hopping out of that plane, and it was real late because I had a real delayed flight. I think I ended up going to like, sheesh, I went all the way to Vancouver first, and then I went to Ottawa. So it was real different. I was just all across, like, I went west instead of east, so it was real trippy. But I ended up meeting, and Chante's in the comments here. Chante Spidel, she's hosting a youth conference, literally the thing that I always wanted to do. She's doing it. So Chante, if you could leave the link to Techo Oaye conference, people could connect with that. And also, Chante was there at that conference, and that was the first time that I met her because she was in my hotel room. She was just like sleeping on the bed, and there was only one bed. And I was like, I'm not sleeping on this couch, sweetie. Like, it's 4 a.m. I just got here. I'm not sleeping on that pull-out couch or that futon. I'm not sleeping on it. And I remember I went back to the bathroom and I came out. She was just wide awake. She's like, she's like, my name's Chante. And it was funny. But oh my gosh, we have Cody here. Yes, Cody was at the conference too. But that was my first experience ever. I was in Ottawa. We were doing calls to action, the calls to action 1 through 5, and we were developing and creating these calls to action. And it was so different because I expected it to be really professional, right? So I went there and like I bought like blazers and I was like wearing like boots, like heels and stuff. And I got there and like it didn't feel like I had to be professional because you hear of conferences and you hear of meetings and you think that they're going to be so professional, everybody, nobody swears, and everybody, crosses their legs and, they're listening. And it wasn't like that. And it should have made you sleep on the couch. You should have, but You didn't. Just kidding. Um, anyways, yeah, I went there and I can tell you, man, like it was amazing. It was so different in being able to express my own ideas and just talking about where I come from because as indigenous people, you think that, we're all the same and we are in some way, but we're all so different because we live in different areas, right? So I can't compare to somebody that lives in Northwest Territories back there. You know what I mean? Or I can't compare to somebody that lives in Vancouver. I can't compare to somebody that lives in, say, Halifax. Like we all have different ways of living. And so it was really cool to see those people and hear about, their stories and what's going on in their communities. And it was just so different because I expected everyone to, go through the same things that I went through, but learning about those things, hearing about their stories and what they had to say, it was inspiring. And I ended up coming home with like so much knowledge. And I was just like, holy, I'm a knowledge keeper now. Um, but I think that conference, like the very first one, and I got lucky because, some conferences are better than others. And, that one, we were able to develop a connection and a relationship with each and every one of them. Like today, I'm still talking to those same 30 people that went to that conference, um, like almost all the time, or I'm, connecting through them with TikTok, or I see them on Snapchat, or I have them on Facebook and Instagram. So just like that relationship, like they're friends for life. They're literally friends for life now. And I love them with my whole heart because they impacted me in a way that, nobody else did at that time. And so it was honestly really different, but it was also really, really cool. And, I met some elders there and they were just so welcoming and so open hearted. And I still talk to those same two elders that were there, Elder Kathy and Elder Bernard, and I still connect with them today. And you know, it really did change my life because it connected me to like-minded individuals. And even though I didn't have the experience, I had that some experience because I was going through mental health issues, right? I had, some things going on with the justice system. I was going to a school that had a lot more, Caucasian faces than Indigenous faces. I see that our Indigenous students, our graduation rates are very, very low when they should be very high. And I was learning more about my culture. I was learning more about the different languages out there. I was hearing Dene, I was hearing Lakota, Nakota, Dakota. I was hearing all these different languages. And it just made me want to learn more about my culture, Cree. And I felt confident because when I went to that conference, I was actually one of the 5 that was able to present in front of all the chiefs in Canada. I'm pretty sure almost every single chief in Canada was there. Um, Even Perry Bellegarde. Yeah, just kidding. No, he was there. He was there though. But it was so cool because, I went there and I was like, like we're just gonna talk and stuff, and we're just gonna, talk about what we want to see happen and what we want to see change. But then we had like so many, we had a couple politicians show up, we had like ministers show up, and all the chiefs showed up, and I was like, holy smokes, like this is a big deal. Like this is a big deal. And I felt so confident that I was able to stand up there and they were listening. It felt good that they were listening to the youth voices because you don't see that too often. And I said everything that I wanted. I want to see this happen. Like this better happen. And I was like, man, I'm creating the change that I always wanted to see, like things that I know would impact me, things that I want to see for the next generations. And when I came back, I started to get more opportunities because people were listening and people liked the way I was able to use my voice and how it could, um, you know, affect them in some way or impact them in moving. When you listen to somebody and you really want to listen to them, or, there's some people you're like, oh yeah, yeah, but you're not really listening. It was cool because, as soon as I got home, I had more opportunities come, and it was just like that. It was that fast. It was quick. It was easy. I didn't have to reach out as much as I thought I did. Of course, like I'm still, applying for conferences and things that I want to go to, but um it was cool that I knew that people were watching, and people are always watching. And I guess that's what comes with advocacy. And when you're an influencer, or, when you have a platform, people are always watching. And so you really have to watch what you do. You really do. And I have a lot of students and a lot of peers ask me, where do you start? Right? Where do you start? Me right now, currently making food, making the mimo, listening on the speaker. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now you're making me hungry. Anyways, um, people always ask me, how do you start? And a lot of people think that you have to have experience, like you have to know how to talk in front of other people. You have to have a good self-esteem. You have to have a strong voice. You have to be able to talk in front of a big crowd. But in reality, it's not like that, because there's so many different other things that you could do when you do those things. And all it takes is applying, just applying. And if people know your story, they're going to want you there. If you have addictions, if are going through something yourself, if you grew up in poverty, if you are literally still living in poverty, you still have that opportunity. Like, it does not stop, because we want as much diversity as we can get, right? So we don't always want, the most professional and well put students and youth to be there, right? We want to see people who actually live through those things that we want to see change, because they're going to know the most. They're going to know what it's like. They live through it, or they've been through it, or they know what it's like. So, it's also important to tell those people, like, you can do it. It's not just because you have the experience, or, you can use your voice and you're good at what you do, or you're confident and you're not shy, or you don't get anxiety, because I had anxiety. Like, I was like shaking. I remember I was holding that paper. I was like this. And it was just saying this. And I was like, holy smokes, Hailey. Like, phew. And advocacy is fun, but difficult. I sat on the National Youth Council for the AFN. Some good people out there, but also whitewashed mind people, unfortunately. Yes, and we will get to that. We will get to that, because I want to talk about that. You're doing an amazing cuz. Keep up the great work. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Anyways, people always ask, like, how do you start? And it's honestly, reach out to people that have been doing it. Reach out to people that have been traveling to conferences or meetings, or going to any sort of youth event, because they'll know. They'll get you in there whether they want to or not. Like, as long as you're reaching out to the right people, like, you're gonna do it, and they'll help you. And honestly, people always ask me, I'm like, apply for this, like the Techo Aye conference that's coming up. Anybody's welcome. And it's just like that. And as long as you're sharing your message, or sharing your story, or telling, people and communicating with them, saying, I want to see this happen. Like, I really do. Or, this shouldn't be happening, and this should be changing. Just, it's that simple. And people are going to be watching you. People are going to hear the things that are coming out of your mouth. And if they like it, they're going to invite you to their conference, or their event, or anything like that, their forum, or whatever it is, because they like what you had to say. And I know everyone has that potential. Literally everyone has that potential to go out there and speak about something that you're confident about. And I was lucky enough to just apply to one. And, it got me so far. It led me to be here today with all you amazing people out there. And I want to touch back on what Clayton said there. I have been working with the AFN as a carrier of hope. My sister. Hello, all the way from California here. Oh my gosh. Hi, Taylor. There's a lot of things that come with youth advocacy. Of course, there's their pros and there's the cons, right? So it can be stressful. It can, bring a lot of fear. It can put you in difficult situations, things that may make you very, very uncomfortable because you're hearing stories of people's lives, of people's experiences. You're hearing things about, missing and murder Indigenous women. You're hearing stories of single moms who are still in high school. You're hearing stories about racism. You're hearing stories about, mental health and what they've been through, like suicidal thoughts and stuff. So it can really take a part of you when you're listening to these stories. So it's always important to kind of hold yourself and remind yourself that you're not gonna pick up those energies, and it can lead to anger. Like Clayton said, there are some wicked people out there, people just who don't have the knowledge or who haven't taken that time to understand. And I guess that's why we see a lot of these things not happening, because you go to conferences or you go step into these meetings with all these politicians, and you have Justin Trudeau there and whatnot, and they say it's going to happen, but you don't see it actually happening. They tell you these things, but it's not actually happening. Like, they're not making that effort to make those things change. And it can bring you some rage. It can make you upset. And don't get me wrong, like, I have been so mad at them before, and at myself too, because you're so confident about something and you want to see this happen, and you're not seeing anybody do anything about it. But that's when you got to do it. That's when you got to make the change and do it and use your voice, because we see Greta Thunberg, and just kidding. I forget her last name. But she's so good at what she does, because she literally yells. Like, she yells, right, about the climate and stuff, where we see Autumn Palletier fighting for clean water, and she's really good at what she does because she's so passionate, and you can hear it in her voice, and you can hear it in her face reactions and her expressions, everything. And she's using her hands, and people, that's what they want to see, right? If you're just it's really important. It is. But you're not giving that expression. And so, when you can actually use your voice and your power, claim that power, people are going to really take that initiative and want to listen to you, because you really want to see this happen. And so the pros, I talked about the cons, because there is some cons. And, some people don't want to learn and don't want to listen because they're just not there yet. But that can't bring you down. And if you do let that get to you, then you'll never make it where you want to be. You'll never succeed, because you're letting other people impact you and your dream and your potential success. Because these people who could care less and don't want to hear or don't want to learn, you should worry less about them, because if they're not going to do it, then you do it. You do it. And if you think you can't do it, well, don't think that. Just kidding. But I'm serious. Like, it does get aggravating, it really does. But there's so much other people out there who want it. And just because they don't have the title, just because maybe they don't have the platform, maybe, they're not famous or people don't really know them, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, because, we see so many people out here doing great things and they're not recognized. So you have to reach out to those people sometimes for their guidance, for their support, because they could be making a really huge impact right now, and they're not advertising it online. They're not saying, oh, I did this. Oh, I did this. Oh, I work on the government of Canada. I'm a politician. I'm a minister. In the end, it's what's in here, right? And if they're doing it for themselves, if they're doing it for the other people, or if they're doing it for the recognition, or they're doing it for the money. So there's two different things there, and it's always important to not give that energy, not give yourself to other people who who aren't willing to listen. And oh my gosh, youth advocacy. I love the traveling part. I love it. I love it. Like, I haven't been to as much places as I'd like to go, and COVID is killing it for a lot of us. Of course, I could be traveling right now, but that's just not the case right now. So I think that really is the best part, and traveling really honestly does help you find yourself. And it honestly opens your eyes to the rest of the world out there, because staying in one place for so long, you start to think like everywhere else is like this. And once you start to travel, oh, meeting so many new people, so many cool and awesome and amazing, so moving and supportive, just beautiful, beautiful people. And I can tell you, going to those things, it has brought me to some amazing friends that I'll have for the rest of my life. Literally, I'll have these friends for the rest of my life. And I can talk about a little bit of stories that I have, because I have some crazy stories going to these conferences and stuff. Um, but it's also amazing feeling standing up for what's right. Doing things that is going to impact the next generation, talking about things that are hard to talk about, but you're doing it. You're taking that initiative to talk about it. And, like I said earlier, I didn't know much about the social issues that were going on in Canada and the United States, wherever. And, going to these places, meeting these people who have that knowledge, who live in those places that might be suffering, with that issue, you gain a lot of knowledge. And honestly, I think I could learn a lot more traveling to go talk about social issues than in school, because I come out of those meetings, or I travel back and I come home and my mind is just like I'm just like ready to conquer the world here. And it's just amazing feeling I have. Definitely, my confidence has definitely rise. It has risen. Just kidding. Risen? It has risen. Oh my no. Oh my no. It has risen. But I used to have anxiety. I still have anxiety. Sometimes, you get a little anxious, your heart starts to pound. You start to sweat a little bit, sometimes sweaty armpits, swassy bum. Just kidding. But I had anxiety. I wasn't confident. I just didn't have the self-esteem, and you really build that. You really do. I can tell, from when I first started and where I am now, I can easily pick up the difference. I'm not stuttering as much. I still stutter, but I used to have to read off of a paper. I used to have to read every single word, and I was never, looking up, so I didn't have that ability to do that. And now I can walk into the store and be like, I'll get a can of pop, and it's just but just like that, like being able to talk in front of people, talking in front of a class, doing a presentation, you can learn all these skills. And when I first started going to those conferences and meetings, I was kind of in the background. Like, I didn't do as much public speaking at first. I was just giving the ideas out. I was giving those resources. I was saying, okay, well, I think I want to see this happen. But I wasn't actually doing the public speaking all the time, because I just didn't have that confidence. I wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready. And I was scared, right? I was shy. I was like, man, if I'm speaking in front of a crowd of 300, like, I mess up, they're going to judge me. And judgment does come with when you're an influencer, when you advocate for something, and you'll see a lot of famous people. And I was actually talking to my buddy there, Tanya, last night, and she was telling me, like, there is a lot of judgment when you're an influencer. It really is, because you have so many people who are trying to tear you down, or because they're probably jealous. and you just can't take that in because, you know, you're growing as a person. And, you know, of course I felt bad because I was mixing up my words, I was fumbling, but you can't break yourself up because, man, you're 15 years old, you know, you're not 30 years old, you don't have practice, you aren't a school teacher or anything. So there is a lot of judgment, but that's when you have to remember like who you are as a person and what you're doing, right? What you're doing for those other people out there, what you're doing for Indigenous people. You know, you're supporting and advocating for Indigenous people, and that's such an amazing and beautiful impact that you can put on other people out there. And you know, gaining that knowledge that can't be taught through schools. I definitely learned a lot of things that I have never learned or heard about in schools because, you know, the curriculums, they're so basic. They're really basic, you know. Oh, there was residential schools, Bill C-31, you know, things like that. But they're not really drawing attention to things that are going on now, you know, like not knowing my language, Cree, it kind of aggravates me because I should know my language, right? And you can take a French class in school, or, you know, our first language is English in school, but how come you can't take a language class that should be your first? Why can't you take a Cree class? Why can't you take a Lakota class? Why can't you, you know? So things like that, like it's so crazy that those things aren't brought up in schools, or that you don't see like land acknowledgements, just simple, just land acknowledgements in school saying, I like to acknowledge that we are standing on Treaty 6 territory, everyone, good morning. And you don't see that happening. So, you know, things like that, we want to strive and see those things change. For myself, at least, I definitely do. But you know, there's so many different things, pros and cons that come to public speaking, public advocacy, public figure, whatever title you have. Um, but in the end, it's an amazing feeling. It changed my life. It really did. I'd not be the person I am today if I didn't do that. Just kidding. I feel like a lot of people say that, but it's true. And public speaking, sometimes, yes, this is very important. You guys go check out her page if you haven't. She commented earlier in the comments. But I wanted to tell you guys a story. Back last year, I was in Toronto for the Canada We Want conference, and you know, I think there's like 300 youth that go every year. 200, maybe 200. And last year we went to this place, and it was on the outskirts of Toronto. And I made like 3 amazing friends, and I just stuck with them for the rest of the conference. Like the full 7 days I was there, I was with these 3 same people, and they're all from PEI. And at this place there was a maze, and you know, we went through it during the day, and it was like cool because there was like these tall like walls, and you had to like find your way out. And I remember I didn't make it to the end, and I was like, oh, like I didn't make it to the end, like I didn't find my way out of here. And it was so cool because it wasn't like there was tall buildings everywhere. Like it literally kind of looked like this with tall trees and stuff. So you got that nature feeling. And so later that night, after we were done in our little small theme groups talking about whatever we were talking about that time, you know, I picked up my friends and I was like, we're gonna go to that maze. We're gonna go. And we took a walk, and it was like a 10-minute walk probably to get to that maze. And I was just thinking to myself, I don't know if it's a good idea. Like it's like 11 at night, 10 o'clock at night. Like there's probably like bears and stuff. And I was like, no, like we're gonna go. We're gonna go. So we ended up going, and we were just walking through the woods, and I just had my camera, and I was like, and I was just feeling real independent, just feeling real good. And I remember my buddies were walking ahead of me, and I picked up a stick. And they weren't watching. And I made sure that they were still talking. They were still like, chit-chatting and stuff. But I was in the background, and I had that stick, and I just chucked it like just through that stick. And they're like, oh, and they're like, did you hear that? And I was like, hear what? And I was just acting, hear what? And I was like, it's a wolf. Hailey, don't scare us. Hailey, don't scare us like that. And I was like, remember that story they were telling us earlier? I was like, I was listening to that elder earlier. She was telling me that there was a wolf here. And they're like, Hailey, don't scare us. And like, they weren't Indigenous. So like, they don't they understand like teachings and stuff, but they don't really understand, like they don't believe in like little people or anything. So it was like real sketchy. And I was like, yeah, it's a wolf. Oh, I never seen them run so fast, and they took off on me. Like they ran up that hill like real fast, like and here I was standing all by myself. Like they didn't care about me. Like they just left. Like they just left without me. And I was like, oh smokes. Now it's just me. And then there was one. Just kidding. But yeah, I remember standing there, and I actually started getting creeped out. I was like, now I'm just all by myself in the woods. And I was like thinking, I remember actually they were telling me a scary story. I was like, I don't even think we were supposed to go to this maze. And man, I ended up just booking it, just running so fast. And I had like these boots, and they had chains on them, just clicking and clacking. And holy smokes, like just fun things. Like I think a lot of people expect these conferences, events, forums to be professional. They're not fun. Like it's all serious. Or you expect it. I guess you could expect it to be like, if it was the politicians and they're in a meeting, they're all like, sitting there, you're not allowed to go out and adventure. But I'm telling you, when you go to these conferences, you're able to go hang out with these guys. You're able to go walk around Toronto and go shop. You're able to go eat out. You're able to just chill out with these people, get hypnotized. I remember one time there was this kid who could literally hypnotize people. I thought he was phony, but I guess he wasn't. He wasn't, but they're eye openers. And it's cool because everyone is different. And I really like the conferences where they're not all Indigenous people. I like when there's other religions and backgrounds and cultures out there. You'll see Asian, you'll see African American, you'll see Indians. Like you'll literally see so many different cultures out there, and they're so welcoming. And what's different is because you see and hear a lot about racism, and a lot of people will tell you that it's learned behavior. And it is because you see some young kids there, and they're so nice. They're not judging. They sing along, dance along to power music and everything. And that's when you start to realize, like, racism really is a learned behavior. Because I connect with all these different religions and backgrounds, all these different, people, and who are non-Indigenous. And, I connect with them so much because they honestly want to hear what it's like, because they don't know what it's like to be Indigenous. They don't know what you go through or anything. And just learning about their culture, it's so cool because, where they're from is just absolutely beautiful. And the people are definitely the best part. I can tell you that. Of course it's nice being able to talk and say, like, creating change, and this is what you want to see happen, and having those important discussions, and speaking in front of those ministers, or the chiefs or anything. But definitely the best part is the people and the youth and even the adults, like just being able to connect with them and gaining some knowledge from the elders that you meet. Such awesome elders out there. And the traveling and the adventures that you go on, man, I have some crazy stories of of some things I've done at conferences, just like totally like just able to be myself, just being able to just run just in the snow and like just be like, oh, it's just amazing because it's nothing like North Battleford here. Um, but I guess, just remember like to be yourself when you go to those things, to those events, to be yourself and don't be anybody else. Don't act professional because you think it's supposed to be professional. Don't try please everyone because everyone is just normal. Like we're literally regular average people, literally talking about things that we strive to see happen. And sometimes you'll see people um where you can tell they're putting on act, you know, and I realize that, just being genuine, just being authentic at those things, it's so important. And I love it for that reason. Um, that I can just be myself. I don't have to act like anybody else. I don't have to be somebody else. I can just share my story. I can tell people what it's really like. I can tell people what it's really like as an Indigenous person living in an urban city. Just being authentic and being who you really are. People really really like you if you're just being yourself. And I guess that's my knowledge and my gift for you today is just be yourself. Keep shining bright, young lady. Thank you. Yeah, so I always want to see more youth or even more adults in my community stepping up and taking that initiative to create something that you want, even if it's little, volunteering. Like me, like I just gave those care packages to those homeless people because I literally cannot put myself in that position and I have no idea what that's like. But just being able to give back to your community, just being able to spread that love, spread that joy, like even knowing I didn't have the time, going to school, having work and being so busy, there's always time. There's always time to do something, even if you're just reaching out to somebody, giving them that support in any way. Even if you start small, like you'll always see that impact because people will notice and people will talk, who was that young girl that did that, who gave us those packages, who did that? Or somebody sees you doing something and you're not putting it on these platforms, you're not advertising, oh I did this, oh I did this. People will watch and much rather want to hear about what you did from other people than when you're posting it, you know what I mean? So it's awesome. And it's just doing it in your community is the first step. Doing something nice for your community, doing something in your school, even for your family, just being that supportive, being that person. There's always just that first step to that positive change that you can create for yourself. So it does change your life, guys. It does. And just surround yourself with good people out there, spread that energy, spread that love and that good heart, and be beautiful. As Indigenous people, we're so beautiful. We have so much knowledge to spread, and we can, really impact and change other people's lives for the next generations. And for the rest of my life, I know that, I'll continue to do the work that I do. I plan to go to law school. I want to bring that diversity into the justice system. I'm sick and tired of our Indigenous people getting put down, having these injustices. And so I want to create that. And I already see awesome individuals, awesome, amazing people, Indigenous people, starting to go to law school, getting that degree. And I think that's just the first step, is doing that, and it's inspiring, and it does inspire me. It's tough work. It's tough to get a degree. It really is. It takes a lot of dedication. And so I really hope to get there. And so that's my plan, guys. I'm sharing you my plan with you guys. So I guess that's all I had to say for today. I could literally go on and on about youth advocacy because it's what I do and it's what I love. I lost my passion for sports because this really impacted me in a way that sports couldn't. And it couldn't bring me that joy and that happiness as much as the work that I'm doing now. And so I like to thank all of you guys who've watched and were listening to me today. I really appreciate it, and just be sure to spread that kindness and that love today and tomorrow, and for the rest of your life, because right now we're all going through a tough time with COVID, and so just be aware of other people and your surroundings, and don't pick up those negative energies. Do not. But yeah, I would like to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to tune in to the next episodes that are coming in. I'm just gonna answer this question real quick. Sorry, guys. So, what do you think needs to happen in your community? I think right now, what I really strive for is mental health. Because everybody goes through it. Everyone really does, whether you're young, whether you're older, even seniors, elders going through mental health problems. And, right now with COVID-19, we're so restricted and we're so limited on the things that we can do, right? And so it really takes a toll on you. So what I like to do is to support people out there, and making posts, saying, you're not alone, and encouraging other people's success. When I see my buddy post something amazing, I'm lifting them up, I'm cheering them up. But I think in my community right now, especially with the lighthouse, is bringing action behind that, and supporting the lighthouse, because it's important to us, and it's really, really going to affect our community, us people, and everyone around us if that goes down. So I think right now, especially if you were losing your home, I think your mental health would really flourish. So I think um, that's something that I've always worked on, is mental health and just getting that message out there. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This is my principal here. um I really like that I can, spread some type of message with you guys. Share my knowledge that I have. It's honestly a good feeling to be on here with 7 Stars Media. But you guys be sure to tune in to the next episodes that are coming on. We have so many amazing stars on this platform, and I'm so excited to move forward with 7 Stars Media. I'd like to give a shout out to Raymond Fox, and guys, go check out Foxing Around, their merch. They have some new merch coming out, so you guys go get that ASAP below. And yeah, just big shout out to everyone that was watching. Thank you for the likes, thank you for the comments and the shares. I really appreciate it. And I do look forward to seeing you here next Thursday, 8 o'clock. Be there or be square. Just kidding. But with that, guys, I'd like to wish you a great rest of your night. Thanks for tuning in. Peace and love.